What if the boy everyone thought was a criminal turned out to be the son of the very man who upholds the law? This is the story of a teenager falsely accused, a father's heartbreaking discovery, and the moment a single truth silenced an entire crowd. They say truth doesn't always shout from the rooftops, it whispers, quietly waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. And sometimes, the biggest lessons in life don't come from classrooms or books, but from moments of pain, misunderstanding, and the courage to stand up when the world wants to push you down. On that cool Saturday afternoon, the Willow Creek Mall was alive with chatter and footsteps. Shoppers carried bags, children tugged at their parents, and the smell of cinnamon pretzels floated through the air. In the middle of it all walked Marcus Carter, a 16-year-old boy with an easy smile and dreams bigger than the small town he lived in. He wasn't perfect, no teenager is, but he was kind, thoughtful, and determined to make his father proud. His father, Captain William Carter, wasn't just any man. He was the city's police captain, respected by colleagues, feared by criminals, and admired by neighbors. Marcus loved his dad, but sometimes he felt like he lived in his shadow. Being the captain's son carried a weight he couldn't always explain. People expected him to be flawless, untouchable, almost superhuman. But Marcus wanted to be seen as more than just a name. He wanted to be seen as himself. That afternoon, Marcus wandered into a sports store. His eyes landed on a pair of sneakers displayed in the glass case. They weren't just shoes, they were a symbol of confidence, belonging, and fitting in with his friends at school. He reached out, touched the fabric, and whispered under his breath, "Someday." What Marcus didn't realize was that two mall security guards had been watching him since the moment he entered. One nudged the other, whispering, "Keep your eye on him. He looks suspicious, suspicious." That word had followed Marcus more times than he could count, not because of his actions, but because of the color of his skin, the way he dressed, or the way he walked with his hood up on colder days. As Marcus turned toward the counter, the security officers moved quickly. Their heavy boots thudded against the polished floor. Before Marcus could say a word, one grabbed his wrist, twisting his arm behind his back. "We saw you trying to take those shoes," the guard snapped. Marcus froze. "What? No, sir, I didn't." His words were cut off as the other guard barked, "Don't lie. We know you're kind." The crowd's attention shifted instantly. Shoppers turned their heads, some pulling out their phones to record. A woman whispered, "Another thief." A man muttered, "These kids never learn." Marcus's chest tightened. He wanted to scream, "I didn't do anything." But his voice cracked, drowned out by the guard's accusations. His hands were empty, his pockets flat. There was no evidence, but evidence didn't matter. By the time the mall police arrived, Marcus's spirit was already breaking. They cuffed his hands, their voices cold, rehearsed. "You have the right to remain silent." The words echoed in his head like a nightmare. Marcus thought of his father. What would he say? Would he believe him? Would he think his son had failed him? The officers began marching him out of the store, the crowd whispering behind them. Every step Marcus took felt heavier than the last. And then, a commanding voice shattered the noise. "Stop, let him go, now." The crowd went silent. A tall figure pushed through the sea of onlookers, his uniform sharp, his presence undeniable. Captain William Carter, his eyes locked onto the scene unfolding before him. For a moment, the captain didn't see the officers, the crowd, or the chaos. He saw only his son. His boy, handcuffed, humiliated, treated like a criminal. "That young man," Captain Carter said, his voice low but thunderous, "is my son." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The officers froze, their faces pale. The phones that once recorded eagerly now shook in trembling hands. Marcus's eyes filled with tears as he whispered, "Dad." Captain Carter stepped forward, his stare piercing. "Did you find stolen property on him?" he demanded. The officers stuttered, "And no, sir, but we thought." The captain cut them off. "You thought? You acted without proof. You judged him before he ever had a chance to defend himself." His voice cracked, the weight of a father's anger and heartbreak colliding. The crowd stood in shameful silence. A mother pulled her child closer, whispering, "That could have been you someday." A man lowered his phone, realizing he had recorded a boy's humiliation instead of his innocence. Captain Carter unlocked the cuffs himself, his hands trembling as he freed his son. He placed a steady hand on Marcus's shoulder. "I'm here, you're safe now." Marcus's chest heaved as he fought back sobs, his head leaning against his father's chest. Later that evening, at home, the silence around the dinner table was heavy. Marcus stared at his plate, untouched. "Dad," he finally whispered, "would they have done that if they knew who I was?" Captain Carter sighed deeply, his strong shoulders slumping. "Son, sometimes people don't see who you are. They see what they've already decided. But remember this, your worth is not in their eyes. It's in your heart, your actions, and the truth you carry." Marcus nodded slowly. For the first time that day, he felt a flicker of strength return. His father's words weren't just comfort, they were a shield he would carry for the rest of his life. In the weeks that followed, word spread about the incident at the mall. Some tried to brush it off as a misunderstanding. Others whispered apologies. But for Marcus, it was more than a single moment. It was a reminder of the world's quick judgment and the courage it takes to rise above it. And every time he laced up his shoes, yes, the same sneakers he eventually bought with his own money, he remembered the lesson burned into his soul. Never let the world's assumptions define your truth. Because sometimes, the people others try to break, they're the ones destined to rise the highest. So if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories that remind us all to never judge too quickly and to always look deeper than what the eyes can see.